As promised, today I'm sharing this amazing dinner roll recipe that I have been obsessed with, and they're so simple to make. So I'm just adding in 1.5 cups of warm water to my KitchenAid mixer. I'm also adding in 3 tablespoons of just regular granulated sugar. You'll also need a packet of active dry yeast. The recipe says 1 tablespoon, so I did measure this out because I wasn't sure how much those packets held, and it is slightly less than a tablespoon, but it all works out just fine. So I let that sit for 5 minutes, and once it was nice and foamy and that yeast was activated, I added in 4 tablespoons of room temperature butter. I used unsalted, but I'm sure salted would be just fine. And then I'm adding in 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to let that slowly mix for just a little bit to get things going while I measure out my flour. So I am going to be adding in 3 cups of plain all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to let that slowly mix so that flour doesn't go flying everywhere. And you may need an additional cup. It just kind of depends. So 4 cups total possibly. But what I do is I start to slowly add it in until it reaches that consistency that I'm looking for. And basically you're just looking for it to form a ball and for all of that dough to pull away from the sides and for it to not be overly sticky. Now, it has been a while since I have filmed this, and I have made it a couple times since. So, looking at these clips, it does look like I actually needed to add in a little bit more flour, but they still turned out really good. So, I guess you could say these are pretty fail-proof. And practice does make perfect, so it's okay if you don't get it perfect the first time. But I just got all of that dough off of my hook, and I'm just going to let this rise. So, I'm just going to cover it with a dish towel and let that sit for 30 minutes. And then after that time is up, I'm just removing that dish towel. And as you can see, that dough has doubled. I'm just going to slightly punch it down, get it pulled away from the sides, and then I'm just going to dump it out onto my work surface. This is starting to look kind of like a hot mess. It was a little difficult to work with right here. So yeah, definitely needed more flour, but you just got to work with what you got. But I am just going to take a knife and I'm going to start cutting these into sections and then just rolling it up into a ball and placing that into a greased 9x13 baking dish. I am going to cover this dish with that same dish towel while my oven is preheating. So I do have it preheating to 400 degrees. And once it is ready, I'm going to let that bake for anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Just keep an eye on it. So we're not going to stop there. We're going to do some copycat Texas Roadhouse cinnamon butter. So I have 1 stick of room temperature butter. And you're supposed to add in a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. But that is my 1/2 cup measuring cup, so I guess I kind of messed up there and I'm just now catching that. So it wasn't like overly sweet, so I don't know, I guess it worked out. Then I'm just adding in a 1/4 cup of honey. You'll need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon and just a pinch of salt. I think I added a little bit more than that, but like I said, this was delicious. So I'm just taking my hand mixer and getting that all combined until it is this nice, smooth consistency. And then at this point, you can transfer it into whatever you want it to. I found this little mason jar. Couldn't find the top, so I just sealed it with some, what's it called? Cling wrap. So here's the rolls out of the oven. You're just looking for that nice golden brown look, and I almost forgot, but you do want to brush the tops with some butter. This is how I do it. It gives that nice shiny look. And here they are. These are so soft and fluffy, and these reheat really well. And that cinnamon butter was the perfect addition. My kids ate like half of that pan as soon as they came out of the oven. So yeah, huge hit. And of course, these would be good any day of the week, but I feel like they would be especially good for Thanksgiving that is just around the corner.